I used to think Clash Royale never really had lore, but when I saw that Clash Royale began to post lore drops of origins of certain evolutions and even the Clash Royale family tree, I was pretty shocked. However, even though they are pretty fun to watch, I couldn't help but think there are some weird inconsistencies between the lore drops and the Clash-A-Rama series, and even the base game. So in this video, I wanted to look at some of the really odd inconsistencies in Clash Royale lore that I hope I'm not the only one that cares about, surely, right? So let's first talk about the Battle Ram evolution. The Battle Ram Evo probably doesn't really make sense, since it's kinda just this massive boulder that somehow survives repeated charges into the tower. But Clash Royale tried to explain this in their Battle Ram Evo lore drop, where we see the following being said.
Production of evolved barbarians. They just became too strong. The Battle Ram would just snap into pieces from their immense strength. So, the barbarians went on a quest to find some way to evolve their ram. They asked countless troops, stole legs, towers, even pretended to read a book. Eventually, with their combined one brain cell, the barbarians found a solution. The only thing that can hold up to the strength of a barbarian is another barbarian. Now, in each battle ram is a barbarian holding it all together.
In fact, they are so dead set on this being a real part of the game's lore that they even say this.
If you listen closely, sometimes you can hear the muffled cries from that barb as the evolved battle ram charges into the arena.
So obviously this raises the question of, where does that third barb go when the ram collides with the tower? We clearly only see two barbarians emerge when it collides with the tower. There's literally no explanation from Clash Royale here.
That can hold up to the strength of a barbarian is another barbarian. Now, in each battle ram is a barbarian holding it all together. If you listen closely, sometimes you can hear the muffled cries from that barb as the evolved battle ram charges into the arena.
They just said, oh yeah, there's a third barb, and then the video just ended. I guess Clash Royale is implying that the barbarian just spontaneously vaporizes, as does the weird ram looking thing. So already we see a weird inconsistency with the lore of the battle ram. I think the Electro Wizard is super inconsistent within the universe of not only the lore drops, but also the Clash-A-Rama universe. In the lore drop, we hear this piece of dialogue.
Did you know the E-Wizard is called a wizard, but honestly he doesn't know anything about magic?
When I first heard this, I immediately thought of the Clash-A-Rama episode Donnie and the Spell Factory, where we literally see the Electro Wizard appear, despite the tour being restricted to only wizards.
And now a big announcement. For the first time ever, the mysterious Spell Factory, owned by local eccentric wizard Ascari, will open its doors for a one-time tour. Or during a shield, and this tour is only open to wizards.
Fine, maybe it's because everyone thinks that he's a wizard, which is why he got the chance to attend the tour. But if that's the case, then how exactly did the Electro Wizard contribute to the creation of the Void spell? If we look at the Void launch trailer, we see this and this dialogue.
Well, I guess it's time for something a little spicier. That is how the Void spell came to be.
This is so much less obvious now. Sure, he's an inventor, but the Void spell is pure magic. In fact, its creation was so magic that apparently not even the magic archer was magical enough to contribute to it.
Each year, wizards come together to showcase their new powers. I said wizards!
So what did the Electro Wizard do to create this spell if he's not even a real wizard? This is yet another weird inconsistency between Clash-A-Rama and the modern lore drops. But the inconsistency becomes much weirder when we consider this line from the lore drop.
Responsible for key inventions of the Tesla Tower and Zap.
So if the Electro Wizard was the one who invented the Zap and the Tesla, then how come they were in the game before he was even created? When I say created, I mean before he became the actual Electro Wizard. How come the Electro Wizard became who he was after the Zap and Tesla were added to the game? And it's not even like the Electro Wizard existed before he became a part of the arena, which could explain how he invented the Zap and the Tesla before becoming a part of the actual game. This is because in the same lore drop, we hear this key piece of information.
He confused his coffee mug with a spell vial and drank a whole bottle of lightning.
If you don't already know, lightning was discovered in its bottled form in the Clash Royale arena at the same time as both the Zap and the Tesla. So now we are expected to accept this. The Electro Wizard somehow invented the Zap and the Tesla before he even became the Electro Wizard, but also accidentally consumed a spell that was invented at the same time as the Zap and the Tesla, and also didn't gain his powers till almost a year later. This is a really weird inconsistency that I think Clash Royale just keeps making worse and worse by making more lore drops that don't fit with the lore of Clash-A-Rama and the game itself. So in the Clash Royale universe, we know that since all troops are somehow created using Elixir, that they are all the same, right? I mean, we even have the loading screen tip that confirms this, which reads, all troops are made equally, even Royal Giants. While this might seem like it's implying that all cards are balanced, I also think that this is alluding to the fact that every time a troop spawns into the arena, it's a carbon copy of the previous version of the troop. I mean, every time you play Clash Royale, you don't suddenly change the wizard or the dark goblin that you're playing, so maybe all troops are created equally. Well, apparently not. In the Clash-A-Rama episode Clash Cup, we see different versions of the same troop being filtered out based on their skill. I mean, this is a pretty common theme in all lore drop videos, so nothing inconsistent here. What I think is inconsistent is the presence of less perfect troops. In the same Clash-A-Rama episode, we see this scene.
Just look at Hans over there. Team Germany said his fists weren't big enough. Or Clara. Sweden said she wasn't a sharp enough shot. And Team Canada didn't pick Sam because apparently he's too nice.
Oh, hey little guy.
And this isn't the only time we see something like this. In the Clash-A-Rama episode After Departure, we see this scene, showing the deck that the king never uses.
I'm this close to being moved to that deck the king never uses.
So now this begs the question, are all troops really created equally, or is there variation in troops? We know that there's variation in organisms in real life, and this is what creates a survival advantage. Is this what makes some troops favorable to the king than others? Is this why the troops that we always see in the arena are always perfect and always the same? I find this part kind of inconsistent, since it makes no sense that Elixir can produce perfect troops every time. Yet still we see troops who are not as good as the others that fill the same role in the Clash Royale army. I do think this is a bit of a weaker argument, but still an argument nonetheless. My biggest gripe with the lore drop series is the nature spirit and the true identity of the PEKKA. Many Clash Royale players know that the PEKKA's identity has always been a secret, and this is why the troop itself is so popular. So when Clash Royale tried to explain its existence using a nature spirit, I immediately noticed the amount of contradictions that Clash Royale made. Let's start with the most obvious one. If the nature spirit was the thing that controlled the PEKKA, then it completely contradicts what we've seen in Clash-A-Rama, especially since we've seen the inside of the PEKKA so many times. In fact, this is contradicted so much that even in the Clash-A-Rama short Armor All, we see this. So yeah, based on Clash-A-Rama lore, the PEKKA is still a samurai knight, but really, no one knows. In fact, the presence of the nature spirit is also almost a contradiction to the in-game hint that says PEKKA. No one knows what's behind that mask, maybe even another mask, which kind of follows the mini PEKKA being the one who controls the PEKKA pretty well, since the mini PEKKA is also a masked figure. So already, this raises questions on the reality of the nature spirit, but that also raises the question of the origin of the PEKKA itself. If the nature spirit was kicked out of the arena by the Blue King and decided to become the PEKKA as some kind of revenge, then how did the PEKKA exist in Clash of Clans? We know that the Clash Royale universe existed after the Clash of Clans universe, because in this commercial, we see the Red King introducing Clash of Clans troops to the landscape of Clash Royale. Many players have talked about this as being the origins of the Red King within the arena, which implies that Clash Royale started after Clash of Clans, and they continue to coexist within the same timeline. And who would have guessed it, the PEKKA appears in this trailer. So now you're telling me that the PEKKA, whose inception began somehow after the start of Clash Royale, and who also existed within the Clash of Clans universe, and at that, long before even the start of Clash Royale. And also, in the trailer they mention this.
Inside an old suit of armor and rested there. The spirit happened to rest for so long that she became fused to the armor.
So now we know that there must have been this insanely long gap between the spirit being kicked out of the arena and the start of the PEKKA's life story. Again, adding this weird grey area of time between the spirit being kicked out of the arena and the PEKKA's first entrance into the arena. This inconsistency in the timeline makes the entire nature spirit thing seem really far-fetched, and honestly, it seems like an attempt for Clash Royale to prove to its player base why the PEKKA loves butterflies, but in explaining that, they contradicted almost everything about the PEKKA. Again, if this is the explanation for why the PEKKA loves butterflies, then how does Clash Royale explain why the mini PEKKA loves pancakes? So we know that the events of Clash of Clans and Clash Royale occur within the same universe, as we often see crossovers between the characters in Clash-A-Rama. But something that is really inconsistent is the fact that characters from the Clash of Clans village somehow make an appearance in the Clash Royale arena. For example, the wizard characters Jacko and Herman originally appear in the Clash of Clans village in How the Other Half Clashes. Also, from the Clash-A-Rama episode The Clashmaker, we see that the Clash of Clans troops don't seem to know anything about the Clash Royale arena, as they question what happens in the arena.
Huh? Expos can't be set for air defense here? This place is pretty backward.
So how come in Clash Cup, Herman and Jacko suddenly make an appearance in the Clash Royale arena? This is already inconsistent since Clash of Clans characters supposedly don't know anything about the Clash Royale arena, but somehow, Herman and Jacko have no problem competing in the arena. And this also raises the question of, how do Herman and Jacko compete in Clash Royale if the wizards in Clash of Clans are different to the wizards in Clash Royale? I mean, everything about them is different, from their hit points to their damage. So I think this is super inconsistent. In the Clash-A-Rama Season 1 episode A Night to Remember, we see a red prince flirt with a blue team princess.
It's almost too easy.
Ow! Arrogant princess, you are about to be fair miskebabbed. I believe this belongs to you, milady.
Oh, keep it. I have plenty more to shoot you with.
While at the time this would have been a reference to the popular play Romeo and Juliet, where two young teenagers fall in love, I think this becomes super weird when we look at the first Clash Royale lore drop, which released years after this.
Did you know that the Blue and Red King are brothers? And that's not all. According to this, Royal Ghost is their dad. An ancient king, maybe. Both kings have princesses as daughters, but Little Prince is confirmed to be the son of the Red King. That makes sense.
So if the Blue King is the brother of the Red King, it means that the Red King is the first uncle of the Red Princess. Doesn't this also imply that the Red Prince, who would be the Red King's son or at most stepson, is falling in love with his cousin? In fact, in that Clash-A-Rama episode, the king seems really against the idea of the Red Prince and Blue Princess being a thing, because he says this line.
I'll teach that red rapscallion to corrupt my daughter. You know what happens when red and blue mix? Purple!
I don't think there's much extra here to say. Really odd inconsistency. In the Evolution launch trailer, we saw that when normal cards consume Dark Elixir, they turn into evolved versions of themselves. And this was a really good way for Clash Royale to implement the Clash of Clans kind of universe within the Clash Royale universe, since Dark Elixir troops are different troops in Clash of Clans that have special abilities. However, the lore drops make it look like evolutions are made from random mishaps or intended modifications of existing cards. For example, look at the Evolved Wizard origin story.
He was feeling ultra confident. But during a battle, he accidentally cast a fireball, which set all the excess hairspray on fire, surrounding him with flames. The other wizards were so impressed, he instantly went to the top of the ratings. And that is how the Evolved Wizard entered the arena.
Instead of consuming Dark Elixir, he gains his evolved powers from his hairspray. And this isn't even a one-off. The evolved Zap was also invented by the Electro Wizard, as we see here.
He continues his research, and in fact, his latest invention, the Evolved Zap, is just about to enter the arena.
The same can be said with the Goblin Barrel evolution, where the goblins purposely craft a dummy barrel to trick the opponent.
Goblins came up with a plan, creating an additional barrel with dummy goblins. They could fire a fake barrel as a decoy to defy the king's attention and increase their chances of success. And that's how the Evolved Goblin Barrel entered the arena.
Again, we see this with the Goblin Cage, where the brawler trains himself to become a stronger version of himself, rather than consuming Dark Elixir.
So, the goblins decided to strengthen him so he couldn't escape. For a while, no one heard from the Goblin Brawler, but in the darkness, he was molded, evolved into something more powerful.
I'm sure you see at this point that after that initial Dark Elixir evolution phase, Clash Royale fully contradicted the way that evolutions are made, since almost every lore drop alludes to the fact that evolutions were made from intentional modifications to almost every existing card. So why would Clash Royale even add a whole Dark Elixir thing in the first place? Especially since it makes way more sense for evolutions to be modified troops rather than Dark Elixir filled troops. No one really knows, but it's yet another really weird inconsistency within the game's lore. I want to clarify that this video is mostly just a point out of the poor continuity of Clash Royale lore. It's not to trash on Clash-A-Rama or the lore drops, because I think they are amazing in their own regard. Clash-A-Rama is and always will be a classic, and if Clash Royale resolves the main issues with continuity in the lore drops, I'm sure the lore drops will also become an amazing link that ties together the Clash Royale universe. I hope you did enjoy this video though. Thanks for watching.